Okay, so this will be our last part for Jamaica. And I have shared some images. I've also checked out that bus image that you guys have shared, and I think that's really cute. So we'll try and incorporate that. I just hope it is actually from Jamaica, even if it isn't. It looks like one of those buses. Not so much local transport, but I suspect this would be like private transportation. So let me share the images and maybe speak about these. Stuff that I enjoy making, that you can find enjoyable to make, to fill up information in your journals, is images of the place itself, because geography makes a whole lot of difference. You could make an image of, I mean, in isolation, this could be anywhere in the world. So you could also make a map of, like an inset map of where the place is in the context of the rest of the countries in the region. But we can focus on this one also and put some points here and there. So ideally, I would do a little more research and find out, say, for example, what else there is to see in all these different places. So I believe Montego Bay on the northwest coast is supposed to be a favorite destination for most visitors. And this is, I've seen this from the videos on YouTube that I've seen about traveling to Jamaica. Similarly, there would be mention of a lot of other places which give you an idea of what to look for. And then you collate data, you collate pictures of, and then you can start making illustrations of that around the space. But today I'll just show you how to make a quick map with these, just with this, not more than that, and still make it look pretty. Then we have, of course, I chose the stamp and also the next one, which is also a stamp. Hopefully it'll download. Because again, stamps are one thing that talk about travel, and that's like the small image that captures a whole lot, an essence of the place you're going to travel, and the fact that the stamp itself is meant to travel all over the world. So stamps are great to draw. Then let's see what else is downloaded.
It's that national fruit.
Yeah, the Aki fruit.
Yeah.
Now this is a crest, and I enjoy making crests of flags or countries because there's a lot of detailing you can do in it. This is not a very detailed crest, but then it makes it easier to draw. Plus, it gives you so many interesting things about the country itself. So in one shot, you can write a whole lot of stuff about the country in an interesting manner. Then, of course, we have the flag. And here are certain national emblems or national symbols. You have the national tree, the fruit, uh, a more detailed version of the emblem, flower, bird, and the national flag itself. Oh, some more pictures added. Yeah, this is a nice bust to make. And so is this. So we'll try and make one double spread of some of these things. It'll all be spread out a little bit. The map can come on one page, and then you have some of the other elements on the other page, and then maybe another double spread for the bus, and maybe some more for the stamps or something like that. So anything like we did last time, you can also make stuff that you can cut out and then paste. So we can make small stamps on separate sheets of paper that we can cut out and paste near the map. Makes more sense. And then on the other page, we can talk about the national emblem and put a few bits of data creatively. Let's try doing that first. So when it comes to drawing maps, um, I know if you go back to, I don't know if you guys had to draw maps of countries in school. I remember one extremely petrifying exercise one of our geography teachers had made us do. She tried to show us how to draw the map of a country very poorly, and we were all very scared, and our maps looked like nothing that the country was. But then later on, I figured that for the purpose of just illustration, you can do a fairly good job of drawing a country map. So in this case now, we use what is already given in the map. You have a set of grid lines, which are the latitude, longitude markings. You will see them marked over here between the 17th and 18th latitude. The longitude is not visible because probably this map is cut out from a larger map, but that is immaterial for the moment. So you can see that most of the country lies between two parallel lines. And in terms of proportion, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares across, and a little bit coming lower from the 5 squares in square number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then a little bit coming up from square or the column number 2. So we just use this as our guidelines to draw the map. And the coloring on this map is also very natural. So as in it's not just one flat color. So between that and then the light blue to dark blue of the sea to indicate the depth of the ocean around it also will give us enough variation to make the map look interesting. So we can make this map sideways. Like I have made the map of Venice. You can make it sideways. The previous page has got just pencil illustrations of the instruments, which we did earlier this week. So on this side, I'm going to make the map sideways, maybe over here. And this time I don't want to make a border. So just to show you some variety. Right. Now, so let's start out with making the 5 squares that we're going to make our map in. So you can make a column in the center. This column will become the unit measure for the rest of the columns. If you are confident with your visual estimation of space, you can just visually make extra lines, 2 extra lines along these sides. So when you are dividing space with lines, remember that you have 1 space included between 2 lines. So if you want 5 spaces, you need to make 6 lines. If you want 4 spaces, you have to make 5 lines. Now upright, we have to make 2, but the biggest section, the central section, is where the country will be placed. So that part will be somewhere in the center, and just a little portion of that goes on either side. So try to keep these looking like squares to the best of your ability. And then at the bottom, you just mark a little bit as the end, and the top you don't even have to mark. So just between these 2 parallel rows and 5 columns, we will make the country. Now the shape can be first just marked out in pencil. Like over here in the first column. So I'm going to write numbers over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. And 1, that's the space above the main section, that's 1, or say A. Then the main section is B, and the bottom section is C. So I will refer to the columns like coordinates. A1 will be this section, A2 this one, B5 will be this section, C4 will be this section. So it'll become easier for you to know what I'm doing where. So let's...
Aditi,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. I'm using a landscape book.
All right, so then
So,
you can make it like this. Yeah,
yeah, make it like this, no? Okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So in column B1, that's this column, you can make the shape of just a rounded shape like this, which is like a half S shape. From there, you come into column B2, draw a zigzag line that comes to as the center bottom of B2, and then it goes down to C2 and so on. So keep looking at the map and just extend the line very organically through all these sections, making the shape as best as you can. Remember, this map is not going to be used by an explorer to reach this place, so that if you make one tiny mistake, they are going to be lost at sea and are going to curse you for the rest of their lives. No, this is just a basic shape that we want to give to distinguish that this is generally how the space looks. And if you want to get a lay of the land, you can still know that Kingston is in the southeast, Montego Bay is in the northwest, and that's about it. So this map is uh, essentially just an embellishment for the journal. So treat it with only that much seriousness. By that I mean, don't erase 10,000 times. Once you have this basic shape in place, you can zoom into the picture and using a pen, maybe a 0.2 or a 0.3 pen, start making some details in these sections. Again, to the best of your ability. So I will make the line start from this side, from the line between columns 1 and 2, where the line goes horizontally, just a small outcrop on the top as it comes down. Using the guideline to make a slightly more perfect space. Now, this is the perfect opportunity for you to make that wobbly line that often most beginners are generally not very proud of and you're trying to get rid of. Yet, if you don't make a wobbly line when you're making maps, it will compromise how the map looks.
You're using a 0.2, is it? Or a thick one?
0.3.
3.
But you
Okay.
can use a 0.2 also, it's not a problem. Now just pay attention. At Kingston, there's an interesting little feature that goes out into that bay. And we have drawn a picture of a building from that place. This building, Giddy House, is here in Port Royal. It's a very tiny space, but don't miss that. Now, here's another thing. Going in a direction from right to left for right-handed people is our Achilles heel. So move back to where you had started from and try to make the line. Come back and join over here. So those of you who have seen Lawrence of Arabia, but I don't know if you remember any of it. I heard mention of it today in something else that I was watching. Lawrence of Arabia was a cartographer, I think, and he was posted in Saudi Arabia to make maps. And if I have my history right, that was the time that there was a lot of problems with the British trying to own Saudi Arabia, but the locals or the entire Arabian region and the locals were fighting back. And Lawrence of Arabia was one of the British, not soldiers, but deputies who turned sides and fought from the side of the Arabs. It's a 4-hour epic. If you've not seen it, please give it a shot. Maybe not in one sitting, because nowadays who watches 4-hour movies? But from a historical perspective and from just the genius of the director and the vast desertscapes, it is an absolute pleasure, glorious to watch. Okay, once your map is done. Oh, I was talking about how right in the beginning, when his character is introduced in the movie, he is working on inking some maps. And of all the things in the movie, that was the part that I was most interested in. And I wish they had shown us more about how he was making those hand-drawn maps in the early part of the 20th century. All right. Now, once you've drawn the map, we have the option of coloring the map like we see in the picture, or going ahead and coloring it in the flag colors or all sorts of stuff. So every time you make something that you see from a reference image, you can pause a little bit and think about what exactly you want to do there and why. And you can change the direction of the illustration at any point. So we are going to paint this exactly like we see this. And this will give us a nice opportunity to also blend some colors without too much of well, not without worrying too much about colors mixing in the right place or not. Most of it is a tropical Caribbean island, so a little green here, a little yellow here, doesn't really matter. We will paint the island in shades of yellow ochre, sap green, and maybe a little bit of sap green mixed with cobalt blue. So these are the colors that I made in the morning class for the leaves of the strawberry. So this is the color palette I will use, and I will add to that a little bit of yellow ochre. Yellow ochre can be a great base, so you can start off with yellow ochre and keep adding a little bit of this green or this green as you go along. Since the size of the illustration is small, use a medium-sized brush for this. Don't use a big fat brush. You can use a big fat brush to make the sea around the island if you want to. Now, anytime you make a map, some things are important to make. So we need to account for that even before we paint the map itself. One is pointing north. So remember, our book is going to be seen like this. And if we were to show Jamaica like that without showing that the north is actually this side, we would be seen as very disrespectful travelers. So keep a space available to make a nice symbol for north. We can make it directly in pen also if you want. Oh no, I want to make some overlaps. So yeah, make a circle, not necessarily a very big circle. Divide it into 4 parts, with the part that is pointing to the north, the line pointing to the north, the tallest, sorry. Make a nice arrow there. So don't make a flat arrow, make it in the form of 2 V's. And then of course you have little arrowheads pointing in 4 directions. Then inside this circle, we can make one more circle from where you can have smaller arrows pointing towards the other direction. So You don't have to write all those, but they just make such a pretty graphic. Now for overlapping, I usually prefer to if it's just a line drawing or line design, I prefer to have some kind of overlapping. So I would make the inner circle in double and draw this with a few lines on the sides as embellishment. This would be on top. And then the north, south, east, west can be bigger, and this circle can either be broken or can be underneath the arrowheads that come out from here. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, if you have a thinner pen, like a 0.5 or a 0.1, this is a good opportunity to use it. Start off with making the inner circle, innermost circle. Then make a parallel, what am I saying? Concentric, there is a word for that. And then make the arrowheads on the oblique directions. And put a line through this. Now, in each of these triangles, color any one side. So the right side of each of these triangles can be colored. We can come back to the circle and see if we want to make any more, anything more to this. Now, through this circle, but only from the ends, we will first draw the neck of the remaining arrows. And we can give them also a very interesting shape. And then the last one is pointing to the top. So here you make one line that runs through. It's slightly thick. Make a good solid arrowhead. And then we can add more lines from the side to make it a little stronger. We can do the same to these arrows on the sides as well. Now, all this is detailing, which you can decide if you want to make it, if you have the space for it. And we can then make the inside circle the outside circle slightly smaller and underlap it behind all these arrows. You can put a stroke on the inside of the north arrow and make it look more prominent, or you can color it up fully also. And here we can write north in the center instead of anything else. So you can make a line like this, like a zigzag line, which can be converted into an N. So that you don't have to write it outside anywhere. I think I can just color this up fully also. Or I can make just lines through this. So in these designs, to make them look interesting, Cartography had some amazing stuff. they would make the north very ornate. I'm sure there's a word for this, but I've not found it. You can make as many embellishments and decorations as you think are physically possible to draw attention to this feature. And in a map, because everything fills up the space so much, I think it made sense to make the north separately very attractive. Now, whichever side you look from, you will see the north pointed in one direction. And if we were to even make the map like this and write text like this, it shouldn't matter. So when I was traveling in the UK, Ireland belt, I wanted to make a map, but the direction of my travel was well, it was right to left, and it just didn't look nice on the map as an illustration, because I traveled from London to Leeds to Dublin and back. So I didn't want my map to read this way. So I turned it around because I wanted to read going from left to right. So I had to make my north pointing downwards. So technically my map is absolutely correct. And for me, it also makes sense to put this moving right to left, and it doesn't harm the illustration at all, or technically look wrong. Okay, now we can start painting. So the best way to paint this is just make medium density washes. The color should be not too watery and not too thick. Hydrate your colors or ready your colors beforehand, because this is a small space and you will be required to insert shades into or next to each other reasonably quickly. So you don't want color to dry. So according to the map, it looks as if the central portion is not as green. So we would just spread out the color. Remember, when you're spreading this color out, do not paint like this, because that spoils the paintings. Press your brush down and just aim to stain the paper. Then start adding the light green shades. And every time you come to the edge of the line, at that point, your brush must be pointing in the direction of that line. So if I turn the book, if I come to the lines that are below, I should not be painting like this, because I will invariably paint into the water. So turn it around and paint away. In the event that some of your color dries, go back into yellow ochre. This time take just a little light color and blend it. The moment your paper is stained, stop painting there and move forward. Now here, obviously my paint has dried. So I will add a little bit of yellow ochre, adding another layer of the same shade in the space where the color has dried will give you less patches compared to adding a new shade. Now, if your colors are a little too light, you can drop in a few shades or a few darker colors in a few sections. And even if those sections are dry, just make like a dotted application. so it looks natural. If you visualize how a landmass would look if you were to see it from the sky, it will look more or less like this, just all sorts of colors blending into each other. And that's exactly what we want to simulate in this picture. After a little bit of painting, rest for a bit. The paper needs to rest and absorb the paint. So don't add too many wet on wet layers because our paper is just 130 or 140 GSM. If you add more color, it'll just keep warping and then bits and pieces of fiber will keep coming off. So in order to protect your illustration from your impatience, we will start the next illustration on this page and come back to painting the map later. That is my strategy. That's the only way I can survive without losing my mind and destroying my own paintings. Now let's look at the crest. This crest has got some very simple lines. If we want, we can make it even more ornate. Sometimes you have these crests on flags, which are a nightmare. I tried drawing the flag of Bhutan. The Bhutan flag has got a dragon on it. It is an absolute nightmare to try and draw that Bhutan map, a flag. So we just take this as an illustration. And many of these crests you can simplify to your skill level. Breaking it down, you'll see that first we just need to make the shield with a red cross in the middle, which, by the way, has 5 pineapples in it. I mean, how cute can that get? It doesn't have swords or spears or anything violent. It's got pineapples. I just love it. Then it's got some kind of helmet. Looks like a European war helmet, and it probably harks back to the colonial past. And very weirdly, gracefully on top of that is a log with a crocodile or an iguana or something like that. It's so cute. Again, so you have fruit, you have an animal, and you have 2 people who are wearing just about their traditional clothing, wearing fruit and just a small bow. I love this map. It seems to be a very peaceful, happy people map, crest. So we will start with the shapes that we can draw and slowly inch towards the shapes that look slightly more complicated. But all of them also can be broken down into simpler shapes. So we will first draw the shield, then we will draw a small rectangle over it, smaller rectangle, an oval, another rectangle, make a silhouette of this crocodile the way we see it, then make the these acanthus leaves on the side, those are embellishments. And then we will attempt the people, starting literally with stick figures. So no need to be intimidated by this. Okay, so the crest or the shield in the crest is about 1/3 the size of the crest. So if you make the shield this big, you won't have place for the humans. So they will go outside of the page. So look at a space which you can say, if this is the space and you divide it into 3 parts, the central part of that will be your shield. That can start off with first a square. So just make a square. Oh, before I make the square, let me just see that it is in the center. Oops, it's not in the center. Now, when you're drawing this, remember, hold the pencil far away. Don't hold the pencil close by because you will inadvertently put too much pressure. Let your lines go through. Keep your lines flowing because each of those lines becomes some sort of a guide for the rest of the illustration. Draw a line through the center, dividing the square vertically and horizontally. Extend the vertical line a little further, and from the sides, so by little further, I mean maybe less than a quarter of the height further. And at this point, from the sides, from say, so this is the quarter and this is 1/8. I have extended this line further down to about a little more than 1/8. And from the 1/8 line over here, I will turn the shape, make a circle at the corner and bring that here. This is the proportion I see, but it could also be shorter. Once we draw the square, the cross in the center, we will know. I think it can go even shorter, which means that we could have taken this even like this. So at every point, look at all the stuff that you see in that reference image. Everything, even the negative spaces, give you a cue. So if I draw this cross, the red cross in the center, these two squares on top, or these two negative spaces on top, are looking like they are almost perfect squares. Now, if I make the shield too long and I try to make a cross in the center, these two squares will look like rectangles. So I know that I've goofed up somewhere and I can make adjustments. So I'm going to make the height of the shield somewhere over here, just in the middle of where I thought we should make, and I'd given you that measure. And then I had corrected it, but that is overcorrecting. And only because we should not be confused with this, we can erase the lines that are wrong. So we don't want to be misled. Okay, shield complete.
This lead, lead is in the pencil lead. Sorry, pun.
Sorry, what?
No, when you said misled, then to erase the
yes.
lead lines.
Yeah, so nice. That was so clever. Misled. Oh my goodness. Correct. I shall use that. All right. Now, again, so we'll see in the negative space over here, that gives us an idea of where we draw the next part of the shield. So we make a smallish rectangle on top. This is like the shoulder. From where we will draw the hood of that. What is it? Helmet. Yeah. And then when you come to the neck, you notice that the neck is just about the same size as the cross below, or even a little narrower. And then we have an oval shape. It's a very unelegant shape. Let me check if there's a different shape that the original has. No, it has the same shape. Yuck. Okay. No problem. So we make an oval shape. The focus being more on the bottom of the oval, not the top. So you needn't even make the top to reduce the number of lines. At this point, you could measure and see whether there are any proportions within the previously made artwork that look like they match. So the height of the helmet and shoulders to the height of vertical band up to the middle, somewhat like that. So keep checking on these things. Okay, then on top of that, you have some sort of striped fabric that looks almost like a bottle cap. It's so cute. And above that, we will draw the log. There's so much that emblems of countries talk about the country or the ethos of the place. Now that crocodile shape, first draw the bottom of that crocodile. Then draw the top of the crocodile, which is, and you can just draw a parallel line first, which then dips down and then goes and joins the tail. Then you draw a V shape for the mouth. And then you can slim the head down a little bit, bumping it up in a few places. Bump up the body in a few places. And there you have it. The limbs are also fairly easy. They are like sideways V shapes. Oh, it has a neck also, so the whole head might go a little higher. And I think this can be made a little fatter. This looks like a very emaciated crocodile, poor thing. And then you have the tail. Again, at the back, the hind legs are like two V shapes. There's one V shape that is straighter and one which is rounder on top and then comes down with a zigzag shape for the legs, maybe 3 zigzags, not 2, and 2 parallel lines on the other side of the log. This is the only thing that is a little it's cut to draw. Then we come to the face, draw 2 parallel lines, and then follow the same principle. We have to draw 3 lines, or actually just 2 lines, 1, 2, on the left and 2 on the right. And the end is again black, a part of the side of the helmet. Okay, everyone with me so far? I'll give you a minute to catch up. I'll just go drink some water and come. Okay, shall we move on? Now we have 4 embellishments sticking out of the helmet. And each of these goes to a certain distance on the sides. So Okay, the first one, the yellow one, comes till about here, just a little inside of the shield. Now, I should say that at this point of drawing the shield, you realize that there isn't anything that's going to come and overlap on the shield. So this is a good time to ink this part and then move on to the rest. This is again an option that you can take. Then we can start with one element at a time. So here we have a line that comes from that helmet on the top downward. And then from the side of the ear, again, another shape that comes downward. And then you break this inward, make a nice protrusion outward, and complete the shape. So it almost looks like what's called an acanthus leaf. At any point when you come across symmetrical shapes on either side, always break them up into each individual stroke. It's easier to make it that way. For the next stroke, from this tip, you will extend a line outward. And just check that this line comes just to the end of the tip, or the tip of the shield. Then you do a zigzag stroke in which you extend one line slightly outward, then a point down near the shoulder, and that line just comes up and attaches itself to the shoulder. Now, if you look at it carefully in the reference image, this part, it's like a leaf that folds into itself. That's the nature of an acanthus leaf. The leaf that comes closest in this structure that you'll find all over India is the leaf of a Congress grass. Now for the next part, from the same point, we can extend a parallel line or two parallel lines going outward. One from here, actually not even parallel, and then you extend the first curve outward a little bit. I'm going to change that shape a little bit because I don't quite like it. Somewhere in the middle, we will make a line like this because we are going to show a leaf shape here, like a crown shape. So it'll be like a W made going upward, almost like three fingers pointing up. And curl the end line inward, outward like that. Now from the bottom, we will make a slight compound curve and curl inside. Slight compound curve outside and then curl inside. And then take this line up. So the reason I was asking for two parallel lines, I wanted you to visualize these two parts. This would be the part of the mid part of the leaf. But if you made this, that's all we need. Now from the top where we've curved over here, this is a concave curve. And you make a curve in the same direction, not in the other direction. So you don't want a U shape. You want a sharp shape here. And I want you to see this before you draw it. Make a compound curve that comes out like this from both sides. Don't follow the design on the crest right now. I'm just going to correct it a little bit. And here again, we will make, in this case now it will become a M, and take it right around and join it at this point. So you make inside of an M shape and then turn inward. So this is how you would show the leaf folding on itself. And bring this shape, the earlier shape, and attach it there. Okay, I'm cleaning up some of the lines on the right here. I've been correcting those. Again, so as to not mislead. And that's it. That's how our acanthus leaf is finished. Now we can also draw some lines here because it's fairly evident that this design can be modified just a little bit. So we will draw these central veins to add some interest to our design, just in these 2-3 places. Now make sure there is a little bit of a gap between the leaf and the top of the shield because both the man and woman are going to keep their hand here. And at this point, we can ink this out. I'm using the 0.3 to finish the line on the shield first. Now, even in this, your line can wobble a little bit. It's cute. If you're not, if you're feeling that your lines have to be absolutely perfect, remember the illustration that we're drawing from has been made digitally. So their lines are going to be flat and boring. Don't make the cross, just make certain outlines. Now we'll make the shape of the shoulder, which is this V shape. Draw the outside of the helmet. Don't draw the inside lines right now. Using a 0.3, we can at best make the broad strokes. And this little thing has got some stripes in it. So here's what we're going to do. You can make the stripes and make the top of that cloth. And there are 6 stripes in that, which can be made like this. You can make 1, 2. So this becomes one color. One short line, one long line, short line, long line, short line, long line, and then one short line for the end. This was made in a 0.5. If you don't have a 0.5, you can make this these separations in pencil. You don't have to make them in pen. And before we go to the log and the crocodile, we can finish up these acanthus leaf embellishments. Okay, this also I can make in a 0.5 just because the line is so much smoother. This is one of my most favorite embellishments to make. If you learn how to make an acanthus leaf, it holds you in good stead in most places where you'll end up making designs which are close to classical. Because this design, the acanthus leaf design, was pretty much popularized by just one Roman architect, I think in some 435 BC or something. And he was inspired to make these as stone embellishments because he saw it while he was just generally walking about, and an acanthus plant had grown into a basket, what he calls a cornucopia. That's that a basket that is in the shape of a horn. So he was so impressed by the lines, he must have really been looking for inspiration. Poor chap, basket and a weed growing through it were to inspire him. He must be at his wit's end. Must have had a really tough client. Right, so now, once this is done, we don't have to worry about the lines smudging, and we can go ahead and first draw the crocodile, not the log. So draw the crocodile's feet with the claws. Then the body. So in the body also, if you can make that little bit of overlap of the jaw, skin of the jaw coming outward, it'll look much better. But again, if you can't, that's okay. The nose has a little bump. It's almost like a gharial. Then we have the head somewhere here. Another bump. The neck going down and a very bumpy line all the way through. And make these bumps a little unpredictable. Don't make them like a cloud. That will, I'm sure, change the meaning of the crest altogether. Then we can make the log. And the reason we've done this is because the log is behind the legs. So you want the log to be overlapped by the legs in the foreground. And then you draw the legs in the background. Draw a small eye. You can just draw a dot. And for the texture of the skin, first just draw a few vertical lines, curved, one below the other, right up to the beginning of the tail. Look at how those lines are looking. They should not look too bulky also. If you're happy with those, you can make lines in between. Now, I try to stay away from making a very complicated texture in something that is already very complicated. So one way to avoid complicated looking textures is do not let your lines cross. So if you notice this, I hope this is visible, the lines are next to each other, they are not crossing. However, in our illustration, you will see them crossing. Every time a line crosses, it creates a bulk. And every time you have bulk, that can be distracting. If you want a line or if you want your illustration to look detailed but not bulky, avoid crossing lines. You can make dotted lines also, those are fine.
Aditi, can you just hold it a little closer to the... So you just put straight lines, is it?
First, yeah, I put curved lines like that
Okay.
row and then a second row right below. So they're not offset. And then between them, I made a horizontal line, almost like a dotted line silhouetting the edge or parallel to the shape. Now here there's a very interesting detail of the of how those bars are. I'll show you how I'll do it, but you don't feel compelled to do it because it's too detailed. So the shape there is somewhat like this. Each of those bars has like a floral shape on top. And then a shape like that. Now, when you're making a illustration digitally, you can zoom in, make the shape and zoom out. But we don't have that luxury here. So at best, we can make the shape instead of those bars touching the edges flat, you can make them touch rounded. That's about as much space as we have. If they touch flat, they will look like a jail. So you don't want to do that. It's not a jail. I'm sure this is supposed to be the helmet of some hero. And you don't want it to look like he is a prisoner. See, that little bit can separate how bars can look. And that should do it. And then we can do the extra work. So first make the collar. If you have space, we will make a double line there. There is some kind of necklace or something over there, which I'm not even going to bother making because I have no space. But I'm going to make a double line over here from the inside of this curve. That should be enough. All right, is everyone okay with this so far? Okay, erasing some of the lines at the bottom. And here we will first make that banner. So the banner is round just below the shield. Then it bumps up and then goes around a little to the side, just a little lower. It's important to draw this because our human form is going to be from here to here. The head of the humans are more or less the same spot, and their legs come down to the fold, actually, not even this part. We fold the banner inward. So this is the shape of the banner. Two parallel lines, creating two bumps, and then folding inward. And the folded part will come down towards the center. Like right now, let it go through the banner. Even more shallow. Oh, sorry, not shallow, more steep. And then it curls inward once. Now imagine this end of the banner also has to follow. So it'll make that parallel line, but this is behind. This is all behind the banner. And here it'll fold inward. So here it ends. This is the edge. And imagine all these are also edges that come into or are covered by the banner. I've gone inside a little bit very excitedly, but that's it. Once you make this shape, you can then erase the lines that are unnecessary, like this. So I'll leave this on one side so you can see the banner, and then see how when you erase the line, you see the true form of the banner. And you'll notice that this is even rounder actually. This is, all you need to do is change this. Make sure that the lines are parallel. The space the same. Can go out a little bit. All right. Now, people, this can be scary, but we'll try and make it easy. Draw 2 lines straight from the edge of that acanthus leaf all the way down to the curl inside. Check if the space is the same on both sides. At the top over here, we have the waist of the person, and then it's just leg. First, draw the skirts. The skirt ends somewhere in the middle of the center of the square. That's the lady's skirt. The man's skirt ends slightly higher and is in this kind of shape, the shape of briefs. Now we will draw a stick figure. So I'm using an old sock to cover my hand because my hand is going to keep going over the lines. If you have a sheet of paper, keep that underneath to protect so that the lines don't get obscured. Now we're just going to make some shapes or lines for proportion. So you have the shoulder of the lady tilted inward, upward at this point, and the man is more broad and standing straighter at the same point on the other side. Draw her, then she comes down to legs. So one leg is standing straight like this. So we are making a stick figure essentially. And his one leg is here and the other leg is here. Then you have the body. You have the woman's body. A little distance above the shoulder, you will have her head. Same thing with the man. And then you will draw her shoulders. His shoulders will be wider. Now these people are facing not in the front, they're facing sideways. So we're going to have to make, I'm not going to make facial features on this, so we'll just draw the people. At her waist, first draw the basket. And an inverted C shape to show her hand. Then we'll draw 2 pineapples, a few other fruit, and from the shoulder, her hand coming down behind it. You can draw her breasts and the rest of the body, and the arm coming sideways and placed on the shield. I think my lady has gone a little to the side, but I'm just going to make her hips wider so she doesn't look like she's too far away. And for the man as well. Now don't overextend the arm. Her arm cannot be too long. So if you feel that your person's arm is getting too long over here, you can just make this angle smaller if you need her arm to extend. Then the man's arm is much bigger, stronger. Body. I think I can bring his skirt down a little bit. And then the other arm that was holding the bow, you bring it down on the side. And it is held in what looks like a triangular shape like that. So the wrist is obscured by how the hand is held. So just have these 2 lines come here and draw a triangle, and then we'll draw his bow. Then we'll draw 2 legs and a triangle for the feet, and then shapely leg over here. I'll show you how to draw these shapes also. They're not very difficult. But first you draw the stick figure shape. So just draw two lines that are parallel to each other, or at least parallel, but also you can have them come slightly narrow at the ankle to get the shape right. Now, obviously, because of this acanthus design having spread out so much, my lady has gone a little too far. But don't worry, it really won't matter in the end. Okay, shall we start inking? So let's do the lady first. Make her face, which is a semicircle, just the bottom part. Then make a headband. The headband will extend a little outside because it also will hold the hair. Now let's draw this beautiful feather or plume, and then make the hair on top. Before we make the hair on her shoulders, we will draw her body. So whenever you're drawing a human body, look for places where there are bumps. Like over here, the shoulder dips down, there's a bump here, then there's a bump in the shoulder, and then a little bump dip in the upper arm. And before you draw the rest of the arm, first draw her breasts, one pointing to the front, one pointing to the side, so that you know that she is actually leaning inward. She's not standing in isolation. Again, over here, notice how the it may not be a straight line, like her forearm is undulating. The elbow will stick out a little bit, and then the bottom arm will also be a little lower. Give her a nice waist. We'll make the basket. Now for the hand, this is how you'll make it. It's like you make a Z shape. Bring the Z back down to where it started and finish the line. That's all you need to make. Forget making fingers. We don't have the space for it. As far as the details on the basket are concerned, we can make them later. First, let's focus on the big shapes. So let's make the pineapple. And then some smaller fruit. Now we have an outline of a skirt. So we can just make these shapes. There's a good chance that these are meant to represent some particular leaf or a local texture. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the edges will have smaller leaves. And the design, contrary to many designs like that, flows in a linear manner. Each of these leaves are one below the other so that the color continues. Don't be tempted to make these shapes like birds' feathers. And I think just 4 rows are sufficient. Now for the leg, the simple trick is you identify where the knees are going to be. That's somewhere over here. The leg will come from the hip. Visualize the hip. It leans, it comes from the outside towards the knee and then leans outward and then comes inward to the ankle. And then just out, make a rectangle like that. Same shape on the other side, but a little subtle. And the curves are slightly higher. Now, at some point, we will be doing the human figure, so I'll do this in detail. But at the very least, you can at least make a few bumps in the right places. Thicker thighs, thicker calves, and that should be enough. The other leg is pointing towards the shield. So here, the back of the leg is even more shapely. So it will come inward, again towards the knees, a much shapelier calf, then come down to the ankle. And here your foot will be like a triangular shape. Then make the knee from where you will make a line, almost straight and something like this. And now we can draw her hair. Everyone with me, or do you need a minute? Okay.
Need a minute.
Okay, need a minute. The shield has taken a lot more time than I had wanted to, but it's okay. Now you know what to do with this. Okay, shall we continue? All right. Same procedure on the other side. But the reason I didn't do the same thing for the man is because it's not the same features. So first, we'll make the head. Just make sure that the head is at the same height or slightly higher than the woman. I think it's the same height. It says something about keeping the man's height the same as the woman's in a national shield. We have an ear. It does seem like equality, no?
Yeah. I'm surprised at my own human figure.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. That means the guidance and the direction is proper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
For the
so precise and so easy to follow, like really.
Kudos to you, actually, Aditi. If I have to do it on my own, God knows what will happen.
I was worried about how these figures would turn out, but I've been showing human figures for 30 years now, so I have some confidence. But everybody has a different way of learning. Great, I'm glad.
My humans have decided to separate from the shield.
Oh, okay.
They don't want to be.
Oh,
They're so
no.
far away, but it's okay now.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right. Now for the feathers in his headgear. Again, start from the center always, not from the side.
Ah,
And I think there should be some overlaps, but we are ignoring the overlaps. Now you know how to make this shape. They're basically just a C shape or an S shape. So when you're drawing flames, there's like a S shape. Next to that, there will be a C shape. Then next to that, there will be an S shape. Then next to that, there will be a C shape. Then there'll be a C shape, and then there'll be an S shape. And you get to a flame. Then, now here's the critical part to make the what you need to watch out for. Because his face is looking sideways, one part or one side of his neck will start from underneath the chin and the other one from underneath the ear. It won't be as the woman's head. Then he's got widest shoulders, so they will also be more slanted and they will be more rounded when they go into the arms. Now at this point, review your figure. Like you can see my human figure has gone a little to the left and I can adjust it just a little bit without having that man lose a lot of weight. But in a way, I'm happy because the space is going to match now. So whenever you're drawing the torso of a human being, first thing is to address these issues because the arms will come from behind this. The chest muscles of a man are smaller and more angular. So make them like this and also have this come into the armpit. Then the rib cage will come straight down and out on the left. On the right, from a little below the armpit, you will come inward and then downward. And complete this with a slightly shallow belt. They've made it very rounded, but we can make it a little shallow just for the space I have here. Now here again, first make the white feathers, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So make one central feather, which is very long. Leave a little gap. Then make a shorter feather on either side. Then a very short feather. These are the white feathers. And I think we can stop at 5. And the space in between, we will make the red feathers. So they are underneath these white feathers. Now here we have the bow coming onto the arm. So it'll be important to first draw that bow. The arm will now come, I'll erase this line and redraw it. So the arm is going to come down or outward like so. And then down like this. So it's a rather muscular arm coming like this. And then the hand holds the bow, which is from his foot up. It doesn't go above his head. And you have the string coming behind his arm like this. And his forearm comes to a point where you will see the fingers going around the bow. So as is a rule, we will first draw, oh, I'll take it a little to the side, I think. So first we will draw the fingers on the bow, which is just going to be this triangle shape. And from here, I'm just going to turn it sideways. I'm going to draw a line going through. Now, if you are not sure about the line going past this, this is quite scary. Draw a line this way and then this way. From the hand to one side, hand to other side. Or you can draw the bow and then draw the triangle also around it. And then around that, we will draw the arm. So you might not even see the inside of the arm. Now see where the elbows are, and ideally you should have both elbows around the same point. And again, the arm joins at around the same point. And nice muscular forearm and the hand just flat on top of the shield. Ooh, take a breath. Okay, all right. Moving on to the legs. So here again, mark a line for the knees. The leg on the right will again be like the woman's leg. It'll come outward. Then you have the knee, the shin, and the foot. Round thigh, round calf, and foot. On this side, slightly slimmer on the inside, but rounder and fatter on the outside. And almost a rectangle finish. So the proportions could be a little odd. Don't get too worried about that. And he has a very interesting haircut. So this could be maybe something that is the primitive hairstyle or something like that. Because Jamaica is known more for the dreadlocks and the Rastafarian hair. So there could be some story to maybe the historic clan that this man is supposed to belong to. All right, now we can just easily draw that banner round and over and under the shield, around these legs, going to the back. Turn the lines on the banner slanted inward a little bit, just for aesthetic purposes. And turned around as they join that line. Tilt your book and make this line as naturally continuous as you can, going through the banner in the foreground. We've done. Now the rest of it is just simple embellishments. You can make the pineapple as simply as you want to. 5 pineapples, so 5 ovals. I'm still not making that red border or border for the red square because that part does not have a border in the shield. So it's just about painting it. And the pineapple, yeah, just draw a few zigzag shapes on top of the pineapple. Keep it easy, keep it simple. And when painting, then you can paint that part red. Okay. Not bad. Now let's move to the map again. And here we want to draw a little bit of the sea or the ocean around it. So you want to, either you can make a border like I have made for Venice. So you can tape the edges, or you can keep it just free flowing water. I want to try making that free flowing water around. So for that, as usual, I'll use cerulean blue, but here's the trick to do it. The area around land usually is very shallow because the land itself recedes into the ocean and becomes deeper a little away. If you make the blue very close or a dense blue close to the edge, then we miss the opportunity of that color variation. So all I do is I hydrate the cake with a big dump of water that just pulls up enough paint for me to stain the paper. So I'll get this nice light stain around, it's mostly just water, around the island. Now I need to do this fairly fast, or I need to load up enough water that space remains wet. So I just quickly go around the island once with this wash. And then you can just keep adding more color to the edges. And while the wash is wet, you can keep adding more and more color around it. And the whole point is to keep this as ununiform as possible. So in a place where your color has dried, just hydrate it with water a little bit so that it doesn't mix. It mixes well enough, blends well enough. And you can extend this line again with a little bit of water outward. You can press the brush down so that you don't have a very sharp line if you don't like that. Now something like this occurs, just dampen your brush and use the residual paint to blur the line just a little bit. And even if you don't, it's fine. Now you can do a little bit of fun by splattering a little bit. So cover your island and add some splatter to the area around. To make it look more fun. And you can also protect the shield. Some of my splatter has gone onto the shield, but I'm not really concerned about that. But I should have protected it. And then again, add that splatter. Now this splatter looks very dramatic right now, but it will become pretty light in a bit. Now we can erase these unnecessary lines. And I want to show you how to make the text in the shield. Out of many, comma, one people. So whenever you have text that you want to write on a line that's not straight, first of all, draw a baseline. This baseline now will be slightly inside the bottom of the banner. You don't have to make it one continuous line. You can draw a line that is dashed also. And whatever line letters you write, they must all be perpendicular to that line. So I will write the O perpendicular to this line, U, T, they seem to be on the same plane, but off would be somewhere here. Many would be tilted to the side, but the moment I come to the bottom, I straighten up because the line straightens up. Then my comma, then 1 O N E space people P E O P L E. So drawing these lines gives you some idea of how much space you have. As it turns out, looks like it will make sense if I start writing a little left of the line so everything fits in better. Even for a space between letters, it's good to give one rectangle space. So I can write out, then space, off, space, then on the line, many. And remember, the lines are only guides. So you have to be able to check where you want to use the guide, how much manipulation you want to do. One people, sorry, not out. One space people, P E O P L E. So this is again too tight. So that means I can just move the letters a little more to the left. You can keep doing this exercise 2-3 times. Erase if you want to, rewrite if you want to. And if you write the letters smaller, then they fit better also. So here we go, out. And when I'm writing this, I'm taking care that my letters sit on the same baseline and the same distance away from the top and bottom. Okay, I have made room for the people to come a little closer to the center. And please keep checking what you're supposed to write. And don't do any lettering while you're talking, and don't talk while you're lettering. I'm now very tempted to paint the shield. So let me just do that while you are finishing lettering. I think all of you will be able to paint the shield yourself. So I don't think I want to give instructions for that. These are fairly simple colors. The drawing was the toughest part. The rest is pretty much color by numbers. But I can't wait to color up that red cross in the center. Because we can't make an outline to that, I'm feeling like that thing is not represented. So I'm forced to do this coloring it.
I have made an outline, Aditi.
You have? Okay, great. I just
Yeah, I've made my own Jamaica with the shield, different Jamaica.
That's
Yeah.
that line, even if you make the line, it's fine. I just didn't want to make it, but I still want to see it complete. Now there are some dots on the pineapples also, dots or crosses is whatever. We don't need to make that. We can keep it very simple. Just make 4 or 6 dots and that should be fine. And I'm going to paint that cross with scarlet. So I'm using a big fat brush for the large sections. But I will, as I come close to the pineapples, I will bring in a thin brush also. Oh, so much nicer. Right, so like I said, now for the map, you can either keep it sideways and write all the names sideways. We already have drawn this north, so it's fairly clear. Then standard practice is that the capital is painted or drawn with a red dot. So you can take red dot and mark Kingston, that's over here. But there isn't enough room over there to write Kingston, but there's a lot of room over here. So we can do 2-3 things. Pick the main cities, like we have this Montego Bay right over here. That can also be marked with a red dot. But Kingston can have a black line around it. And you can do the same for all the other places that you want to write about. So just for the sake of filling the space up, here is Port Maria. Then there is a St. Anne's Bay over here. And as far as text is concerned, you can write the text in different ways. You can write the text for Kingston different because it is the capital. Then we also have that Giddy House over here, which is in Port Royal or Port Royal. And if you want to write both these, then there will be some kind of fighting happening. So you can always put arrows, or you can write Kingston over here and you can write Jamaica over here. Lots of things are possible. Now, if you're unsure about what to do, always use the pencil. Write very lightly, and you don't even have to write full shapes. suppose you write Kingston here, then you write Port Royal here. Then you write Jamaica like this. Maybe you can write Jamaica all over. How would this look? This would look nice as well. So use a few shapes and write a few things in pencil to visualize. You don't have to do anything without visualizing. If you want, you can also use paper tape to write these texts and hold it next to it and see how that looks. All sorts of things are possible, and I encourage you to experiment as much as you want to. So let's see how this looks. I'm writing the names of the smaller cities in a print text. So this will be italic and not all caps. Port Royal or Royal, then Port Maria, then St. Anne's Bay. If you need to, put a small line underneath this so that your text does not fly all over the place. I was going to write St. Anne's Port. And yes, when you are writing text, please do not speak. I've done this so many times. Montego Bay. Kingston, I will write in all caps. And Jamaica, we can write in nice bright red color. What else have we written? Oh, we can also continue the same text like this. Or like this. Or if you want to, you can write, now it's too late, but you could have written like that. So I have, though I have written Jamaica over here, I'm using those letters to place my text more, I guess, in a more balanced manner. So one thing you need to keep in mind is a journal does not look or does not need to look like it's like it's too pristine, you know. It should not look like it's printed. You should have that element of handmadeness to it. So the inconsistency of space, things not lining up, that's a good thing. That's perfectly fine, and that's what will make the journal look more like what you are. Now over here, if you want to, you can write certain things, but again, look for a creative way of writing. I'm going to stop all of you from writing in your regular handwriting. If you're going to write in regular handwriting, don't do that here. So one thing you can do is, like we had, where have I done this? I have done this in one journal. In my rabbit hole journal, I have made a flag. So there's, yeah. So this is, I wanted to write about the ghost stories invented, and I still have to draw those characters here, but I've written the story inside. So I've placed a flap on which I'm going to write, make the illustrations of Frankenstein and Dracula. And these ghost stories originated in a particular event that occurred over here. So you can do the same thing. You can make a flag and you can write the details about what is the capital and what is the population and all the stuff that you have underneath this on that flap, but the flag can open like this, which is cute because flags are usually flying. So you can make a horizontal fold and place it here. And once you flip the flag over, you can see all this data. And the flag being over here also makes sense because it is related, as a graphic, it is related to the shield. And in the illustration also, you have the flag below it. I had a paper here. So if this is the sheet, oh, and then you don't need to make it, yeah. So if I want to make my flag like this, I'm using an A5 sheet because I have a very ambitious plan. The flag does not have to be flat. We can make a flat flag look like it's flying. So you just draw these two. Don't draw it so large that it comes out of the book. And I have this on a flap. As you can see, I'm an expert at increasing work. This is a common problem in my home. While regular people can finish their work in an hour, I will take 5 hours. There you go. So this again is a little bit of value add. And then you have all the space inside to write. So don't be in a rush to paste this flag. Paint it separately, write all the data inside this, and then paste it. And also look at which works better. So when you have a blank paper, check if this will work better or this will work better. Sometimes this works better also because it's easier to open onto the right than the left, simply because I have spiral binding here. So it opens and then you have all the text here. I think it'll look awesome. Okay, so that's it for the class. Unfortunately, I could have gone on till 9 o'clock, I think, finishing all the other stuff. Any questions about either these or other things that you might want me? How are your pages looking?
We forgot to make the bus.
The bus, I know, yeah. We'll make the bus again.
We'll do a page on buses.
We'll do a page.
Local transport.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, this is looking beautiful. Very nice.
My crocodile looks more like a dinosaur, but it's okay.
That's okay. Crocodiles are modern dinosaurs. Kya kare abhi? Okay. Let's see. Oh, very nice. Looking lovely, Tarini. Are you happy with it?
Yes, I'm happy with everything I do.
Very good. Great.
Very
But
nice.
the fact that
Great.
I'm painting is happiness itself. So that's okay. Yeah, thanks.
This is lovely also. I can see why you're happy. Your human figures are really looking very nice. I'm so pleased with everyone's human figures. They're wonderful.
You gave
I
very
didn't-
good
Yeah.
instructions.
Thank you. Thank you. Ah, very nice, Jasmine. Yours also looking very good.
No, I wish they would have heard when you were doing the instructions on the art retreat at the beach. I still remember, it made me feel, oh, these human figures are just lines. Okay, why I'm scared of
Uh,
them.
I remember that now.
You
Yes.
should have recorded her saying everything.
Yeah, it was my first experience, so I was not recording, I was just observing. But yeah, next time, yes, we did some recordings, yes.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes, I'm not aware of what I'm trying to say. It's like I want to explain something and
Yeah.
just tap into, okay, what are the metaphors I can use for this? Good. Chalo, I'm very pleased. So I guess now I will be sharing more of my travel pictures with you guys. And you can actually for this month, if you want, you can all meet on Saturday afternoons and come up with your own, like a self-made plan. And just use these 2 hours to illustrate different countries and then try to discuss with each other about how to do something or the other. You don't need to have a camera set up or anything. It's just about sitting and chatting and then try to see if you can solve each other's problems or come up with some interesting ideas, something simple to make travel pages. Imagine if you are all traveling together, you will all be seeing something and you'll all be drawing something. That could be an interesting exercise.
Yeah.
Hannah? So
Yeah.
try it
Yeah.
out next Saturday. Give it a shot. Maybe just meet up for maybe half an hour or something, whoever there is. This meeting room, I think there's no waiting room. So you can all just join in. You don't need me to allow entry or anything. It may not get recorded, but that's okay. If any of you feel you want it recorded, then you can let me know. I could just make you admin or something like that, and then it'll be recorded. There is some solution that can be done.
So
Okay,
Aditi, you're coming back end of June,
I'm coming back on the 8th of July.
8
So
July.
yeah,
Okay.
that is, I think, a Tuesday. So I think our class will be on the 10th, 12th or something of July.
Yeah, 13th.
13th, yeah.
And you've sent me the book.
No, it's still there in my bag. You know what has happened? The courier guy closest to my house has gone away, and all the other courier people have no parking in front of them. I'm terrible.
Oh.
So
Oh.
don't worry. Now I am gathering a whole lot of my stuff. So at some point, your parcel will be couriered. You will receive it
Before you leave?
before I leave. Yes.
Okay. Because I'm going to Melbourne next month.
No, you'll get it before. By the end of next week, you'll get it for sure.
Yeah, so I'll take it with me.
Yes, wonderful.
I'll try and do some stuff there.
Yeah, try me, you must. It's one illustration you have to make.
I've got little fear, like how Ritika was saying.
No, you should go, Ritu. I mean, I have a fear of, I'm telling you, like, I have to now travel to Caribbean and it's a 15-hour flight. One flight is 15 hours. I'm hopping for 3 flights. So that's what I'm just telling myself, I have so much to draw. So I will just keep drawing anything or everything, whatever is coming, with the pictures and everything. So my time will just fly.
Whatever you see at the airport as well.
Yeah, everything.
Exactly. I will click everything and then with sitting inside, I will just keep sketching and painting. I mean, and now I have become more comfortable even with the paints. So, Aditi ma'am, you remember initially I used to say I'm okay with sketching, but then I'm scared. Should I paint? Would they look good or not? But I think now more and more I do with you. I feel like, no, I should go and paint. Let's see what can happen.
Yeah, you should just splash paint. That's the best bit. This watercolor is very forgiving, contrary to what people think, and just makes everything look very, very bright and fun. So you should enjoy that bit. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna miss all of you guys.
Yes.
I will see you.
Have a good time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. We will look
Enjoy your
forward to
trip.
the
Happy
pictures.
journeys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a safe flight.
Yeah, and we'll wait to listen to your stories.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Chalo. See you.
Bye.
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 Take care, Aditi. Bye.
Bye.